The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me.
Internet is so slow.
Do you think that
It gets to the point where I just get sick of complaining about it.
And I listen more attentively. There must have been something in all of that nothing that wasn't quite so easy to see.
Oh, my camera's all out of whack. Someone's bumped my camera.
Those bastards.
Interesting.
See how they are?
Look, you're on a really weird angle. I'm going to have to go fix that. Interesting.
When you were busy slamming the door.
Internet is just absolutely horrible. All right, so that's up and that's up. Valley Patriot's up, but I just can't get it on my page. Was it on my page now, too? Yeah. Honestly, I can't even tell anymore. One way or the other. I think either way, you're tilting one way or the other. So someone at some point will have to come in and readjust it.
We can do this on the fly.
Right?
Let's see here.
I almost canceled today. I almost canceled. Everybody. That might be a little too close.
Okay.
I don't want them seeing the pores on my face.
Come on, Mr. Camera.
Yeah, we're gonna get those ads in.
Oh, we will.
All those sponsors. Man, I wish Kelly and Debo would freaking do another. Just one more boycott. And get a new car. I actually did the math the other day. If they do one more boycott, I can buy myself a new car.
Nice.
And I don't mean down payment for a car. I mean buy a car.
This is really interesting. We're going to do this.
It's like we've got a drunk cameraman.
Yeah.
We're going to do something because Mel's almost over.
That's all right.
We just start over.
This is a podcast. People can still hear us. We're still here.
That's true.
And we're on the air.
Now we get a test pattern.
Yeah.
Oh, we're black. We're almost ready.
Oh.
Just stay tuned, folks. We're having technical difficulties. I think. That's like my first day.
It's going to do its test.
Which way? Which way?
Oh.
I have to bend down. Get down on one knee to get this done.
Nobody throw up. Please, goodness, don't throw up.
Thanks for coming, kids. Good night. I say we start over.
Huh? Hey.
That's all right. We'll get half of me, almost.
Yeah. Oh, I know what's happened.
What's happened? My
Go
dear.
ahead.
We're
I
good?
can fix it on the fly, yeah.
All right,
Start
okay.
your show.
All right. Hi, how you guys doing? My name's Tom Duggan with the Paying Attention Podcast. Hiya, Top. Two guys smoke shop at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. I'm just going to do this the whole show
You're
and
fine.
try and get into the camera shot while I'm talking. It does feel like my first show. How about that? Actually, we're coming up on our 7th anniversary. Do I have that right? Is it 6th anniversary? 7th anniversary? I think 7, right? I think in December we're doing our 7th anniversary. And we haven't had, in the last year and a half, all of the police chiefs up here. Mostly because of our legal issues, right? I don't want to taint any of my friends that are police chiefs with all the hoodbooger stuff that I've been dealing with. So, hey, there we go. We're back. All right, very good. So,
we're here the whole time.
So we're going to try and do that maybe before the end of the year. I don't know if I want to do it. The anniversary is December 29th. I don't want to do it like between Christmas and New Year's because nobody sees those shows, right? But maybe like right before Christmas we'll do it. Let's thank our sponsors, McLennan Real Estate, Century 21 Prime Insurance, and the Doug Mercurio Law Office, Patrick's Eatery, and Harrison's. Now, I was under the impression that Patrick's Eatery had bought Harrison's, and that Patrick Eatery and Harrison's were all one. And you go in and you order a Harrison's roast beef, but you can also order like a lobster roll or grape leaves because Jim Monier is there. And not Jim Monier, isn't that awful? Can't remember his first name. The other Monier is there. And Kerry's Catering is there with spinach pies and hummus and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so I was under the impression that, and we even had them on the show, and somehow it still went over my head, that this was all like one thing. And come to find out that it's not all one thing. Harrison's is separate from Patrick's. They're in the same building. They're serving, but they're serving at different counters. So if you're just going in just for a roast beef, you don't have to wait in line where everybody's getting their subs and their salads. You go get your roast beef. So Harrison's is now, the sign is up. So you got the Patrick sign is up, the Harrison sign is up, and we do have some prayers for our buddy Dean, who's been on the show, who has not been feeling well. He's got a medical issue he's been dealing with. So if you've been going by Patrick's/Harrison's in North Andover to see Dean, he has not been there, but he will be back, I guess, shortly. And breakfast, they're doing breakfast now, I think 6 days a week. And if you're going to go in, say hi to my buddy Emmett, and also say hi to our good friend Amanda Panda. We love her. First, she's really hot, and she's a redhead, and she's got tattoos all over the place, which makes me crazy. And on top of that, she's like really nice. Now, normally I don't give points for nice, but she was so nice that she ended up getting 10 extra points for being nice, because that's just the kind of guy that I am. Clear Path for Veterans, New England. Tomo and Shaken Seafood, the Zany Pesh Law Office. Who do we leave out? Marsan and Son Construction, EIS Investigation and Gun Training, AFC Urgent Care. We're getting emails from people who liked Zaka being here, talking about being an immigrant and how AFC is doing immigration physicals. So hopefully that's going to generate some business for them. Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors. Who do we leave out? Chris's Barbershop, where I'm going, I think, today, right after the show, to get my hair cut. If not, it will definitely be next Thursday, right after the show, to get my hair cut. Not that there's many left to cut. Who do we leave out? Enterprise Bank. We love Enterprise Bank. And I think what I'm going to do next week is buy them lunch. I think I'm going to call over to Salvatore's and have pizza sent over to Enterprise Bank, because there were two people who work there who have taken care of me tremendously over the last couple of months and gone above and beyond. And so I think I'm going to do that for them. W3ON for their website design, Stadium Chiropractic, 4-star lighting, A&J Goodwin Plumbing. If you need a plumber, A&J Goodwin Plumbing, please. They're brand new. We definitely want them to get some business from us, especially since they're paying us a boatload of money. And the Bonfire Wellness Center, and I want to apologize to Jeff over at the Bonfire Wellness Center in North Andover, because my plan was to go there before the show today, but I just got tied up and I couldn't. But I will be there either today or tomorrow after the show. All right, so that's the sponsors, and we will mention them again at the end of the show, and I'm going to try and work them into the show, as we go as well. So there's a bunch of things. Going on, and I'm not sure where to go first. Let me see. Let me just take one more note. All right, so I don't forget that. So, I want to I want to promote. Let me get this here. October 18th at Salvatore's Restaurant at 5:30. Now, the 18th is, what day of the week is that? I think it's a Wednesday, but let me just double check. It's a Friday. So a week from tomorrow, the 18th of October. Wow, the whole year is just gone. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I know.
My love.
That's.
Can you just talk more? I love listening to your voice when you listen to playback. It's so
Fine.
friggin' sexy. It's ridiculous.
I feel like I should be the host of some smooth jazz radio station.
Right. Well, we got to get you up
on the days when
here.
my voice is especially.
We keep talking about it, but maybe next week we'll have you up here. And we can do a show with you.
I can do both. We'll try.
Okay, all right. So Karina Papalato over at the Greater Lawrence Psychological Center, which is the umbrella organization for Pegasus House, Women's View, and the Daybreak Homeless Shelter. Now, Daybreak Homeless Shelter is a homeless shelter in Lawrence on Winter Street. 55 beds. They're at capacity every single night. Women's View and Pegasus House are for women who are victims of domestic violence. There should be one for men, too, because There's an awful lot of guys getting the crap kicked out of them out there. I know a few of them, and I keep telling them to call Karina, and they're like, no way. But the domestic violence victims, the homeless, people who are addicted, people who are at the bottom of their life, trying to struggle, trying to make it. Karina Papalato in the Psychological Center provide an awful lot of services to those people. And they're having what they call their Overcoming Obstacles Gala on October 18th, a week from tomorrow night, a week from Friday, October 18th at 5:30 at Salvatore's. I think they're $100 a ticket. Please think about sponsoring them. If you're a local business, please think about sponsoring them. I don't say that much. You know, I don't promote very many nonprofits. I don't promote very many charities. I have a few that I work with because I know where the money goes because I work with them. And before I work with them, I vet them to make sure that I know where the money's going because I don't want egg on my face somewhere down the road, like the Haiti Fund or UNICEF or the Red Cross or any of those other scams that are out there. What was the other one where the president was getting like $5 million? Goodwill? Not Goodwill. Remember? That's terrible, right? Don't get old, kids. I'm telling you. Don't get old. All right. So that's. And by the way, I was a recipient of this award last year. I was very, very grateful because I got out of the hospital like 2 days before they had the gala. And nobody was even sure I was going to live through the experience, like seriously. So I appreciate what Karina does. And I also appreciate, what she's doing for other people in the community that are also doing good. Like she's not someone that just says, look at me, like most people, look at me. She's pointing at other people like we do at our bash and giving awards to other people. So I appreciate that. So we got a bunch of things we want to get to today. And if you're listening on the podcast, do me a favor and shoot me an email if you're listening to the podcast on Podbean, Spreaker, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes. I'm looking for a way to monetize the audio, and I just haven't had time to do it. And so if there's anybody out there listening and they listen to the podcast, not watch it on Facebook and not watch it on YouTube, which you should be all subscribing to my YouTube channel so we can actually try and monetize that. It would be nice if we made a little bit of money on the audio downloads. Right now we're not making anything on it, but that's only because I don't know how to monetize it. So shoot me an email if you listen, just to let me know that you listen, and if you know anything about how to monetize it, please let me know also. All right, so in Methuen, there's a couple of things going on in Methuen, and I should have given this to my producer at the beginning of the show. Where do we want to go first? We've got the Methuen City Council meeting this week, which we have video of. And we have it's not really about the death of Mayor Perry, but it's more about the replacement of Mayor Perry. So let's do the replacement of Mayor Perry first. All right, let's do that first. So his body's not even cold yet. And I'm going to say in full disclosure, everyone knows, anybody who's followed my show, anybody who's followed the Valley Patriot newspaper knows Neil Perry and I, at one time, were very good friends. Over the last 2 years, we're very bitter enemies. And so I do want to send my condolences to his family because no matter how much we did not get along, and we did not at the end, I don't wish that on anybody. And I have been thinking, since he passed, I have been thinking a lot about him. And I'm a little flustered by other people's behavior. I mentioned last week when I was watching the funeral on the internet, the number of people that I saw showing public displays of emotion, crying louder than other people, so to speak, that were on the phone with me 2 days before he died talking about what a piece of crap they thought he was. That has flustered me because I've always been an honest person. I've always been the kind of person who tells you what I really think, tells you what I really feel. It's one of the reasons why 50% of the people who have met me hate my guts, and 50% of the people who have met me think that I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And there's literally not one person in the middle that goes, yeah, he's okay. Like they either love me or they hate me, and it's because I'm so blunt. And so I'm going to be blunt today. I thought it was very disrespectful, even though nobody else knew but maybe me and a few other people. It was still a slap in the face to the family to put that on the internet and see people, one of them was a city council, two of them were city councilors, who were on the phone with me less than a day or two beforehand talking about how much they hated the guy. Having said that, because I did mention that last week, His body wasn't even cold. The day, I can't remember what day it was I made the announcement because every day for me runs together because my sleep patterns are kind of screwed up. I think it was a Thursday or a Friday, but I can't remember. Might have even been Saturday. Whatever day it was that I got the call and that I posted it online, in under an hour, I had phone calls from 2 different individuals whose names I'm not going to mention because it's not important. The issue's important, not who did it. Of people calling me, asking me what I thought about them running to replace Neil Perry. The guy's not even cold yet. I don't even think his body had been transferred to like a funeral home yet. And I had people calling me going, hey, what do you think about so-and-so running? What do you think about this? What do you think about me running? I'm thinking of running. What do you think? And I was like, hey, can you let the family bury the guy first? Like, do you have to jump into his grave? Like, seriously. So, since that has happened, there's been another city council meeting. And that was this week. There was a city council meeting. God bless you, hon. There's sugar in that, right? Oh, it looks very low. All right, that'll work. If I brought in Cafe Bustelo, would you make me Cafe Bustelo every week? Like little K-cups of Cafe Bustelo.
I don't know if it fits in that machine.
All right, okay, fair enough. All right, so anyways, there was a city council meeting this week. They did 2 things. We're going to talk about both of them today. One is the replacement of Neil Perry. Here's what they did. And we're going to talk a little bit about Methuen elections, too. So here's what they did. They voted for December 10th to be the special election to fill Neil Perry's seat. Honestly, I'm not sure why we're doing that, other than it's in the charter. It's in the charter, so we have to do it. The charter is the document that guides the election process for the city of Methuen, for any city. It is the city charter, and towns have town charters. Kind of like your constitution for your city. And it states in the charter that if the mayor leaves for whatever reason within the first year, you hold a special election. To me, that seems a little much. It's a 2-year term. All right. If they were doing it like Lawrence and it's a 4-year term, the guy dies in the first year, the guy quits in the first year, the guy gets indicted and goes to jail in the first year. Obviously, in a 4-year term, you would want to have a special election to have the voters replace him. However, Methuen has a 2-year mayoral term, which has always been horrible. It was horrible when Lawrence did it, and it's horrible now that Methuen's doing it. The mayoral term should be 4 years because you run for the job, you get the job. You win in November, you take office in January. You really have like a year to learn the job, and just as you're getting a groove going, you're going to start running for re-election again. So everything that the mayors of Methuen do, they do in furtherance of getting themselves reelected, which is why there have been so many horrible mayors in Methuen. Because they run, and the minute they win, they're automatically already running for reelection. So literally everything they do is about buying power. Like literally about buying power. And we can talk about that on another day. So they voted for the December 10th special election. There is no runoff. There's no primary. Here's why that's important. If you had 9 people running and there was a primary, you'd whittle it down to 2. You'd knock those. If there were 9 candidates, 2 would get nominated. 2 would go on to the final ballot. And then you'd have to win like a lot of votes to win, right? You'd have to really work for your supper. But with no primary, let's say there are 9 candidates. Just pick a number, right? Let's say there are 9 candidates. I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least 4 or 5. But let's say there's 9. Let's say there's 10. Let's make it an even number. Let's say you've got 10 candidates running for the mayor's seat for the next year. First of all, why would they want the job for a year? Because a year from now you're running as an incumbent for a 2-year term. That's why anyone would run this year. Would not be to do like a Lenny Degnan, pretend you want to steer the ship for 1 year and then turn it over to somebody else. It's so that you can have the job for the next 3 terms, which I'm pretty sure this first year term doesn't count. I'm pretty sure. All right. So if you've got 10 people and 5,000 voters show up, that means the person who wins could win with 300 or 400 votes. Like divide that up however you want, and I'm just doing it in my head. But the person who wins, if you've got 9 or 10 candidates, doesn't need a lot of votes to win. So rather than doing a primary where you have to actually go out and really work hard against the other person that won the primary, and then getting the other candidates to support you, What Methuen does is they have a special election, but it's a runoff. That's it. There's no primary. And I'm going to do another show at some point because I want to get to this video. I'm going to do another show at some point, maybe next week, about the Incumbent Protection Act in Methuen, which is what I call their election laws, that are really, really designed, overtly designed to help incumbents. Who's running for this mayor's race? Well, we know DJ Beauregard's running because he's already spending money on ads. I've seen them, I think, on Facebook. I'm told Ron Marchand is also running. And I'm told that Steve Saber is going to run. I'm also told, although I didn't hear from her, that Jessica Finnecow is probably going to run. Well, there's 4 right there. I'm told that William Castro is thinking about it, which would really, really mix things up. I would pay to see that, actually. I would make a donation to his campaign if he ran, just to watch everybody scurry, because for a lot of other reasons, we'll talk about it in another show. But I'm interested in what you guys think about who should run and maybe who shouldn't run. So please email me. Normally I say don't email me because I hate responses. But I'm really looking for some input on here because there's a lot of people that I think are capable of running the city of Methuen who are not your typical city councilor types, who are business owners, or maybe they're independently wealthy. They're people that are smart. They're people that know government, that could run for this job and do this job and not be a political hack. Unfortunately, most of the people I just named are political hacks. They're people that got on the city council and think that that's like defines who they are. And they think that actually like that makes them powerful. It doesn't. It doesn't make you powerful at all. And most people don't even vote. All right. Also at that meeting, Dave Idconsoli from Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors got up to the microphone. If you want to cue that up and get that ready. So I cut the first 2 minutes of this, maybe minute and a half of this, because, this is going to sound like a criticism, and it's not, because I love Dave Idconsoli, but he's so damn nice sometimes. That he apologizes, he'll go out and he'll do something, he'll get bold, and he'll go out and he'll say something or do something, and then I don't know if it's the Italian in him, but then he recoils and he starts apologizing to everybody. So he got up and the first 10 minutes was he's apologizing to the mailman's babysitter's third cousin, and he's apologizing to the DPW director, and I don't want anything to reflect, we don't want anything reflecting, we can't reflect, we don't want anything to reflect badly, and I'm sorry if I made somebody look bad, and he did all of that because he's nice. Even when I was in the hospital and I was on a lot of drugs and I was yelling at him on the phone because I was out of my mind, I didn't know what I was doing. Even then he was overly nice to me. Even then he was like, Tom, listen, I know it's the drugs talking. I'm like, it's not the effing drugs. He's like, no, I know it's the drugs talking. I'll be by tomorrow. I'll come by and talk to you about this when you calm down. He's just so nice. I've never heard Dave Idconsoli on this show or anywhere else publicly attack anybody. I've heard him express concern about, the way people behave once in a while, but I've never heard him attack anybody. I've never heard him go after anybody by name. And that's just kind of who he is. Maybe I should have left that first minute in so you could see the overly, I'm sad Neil Perry's dead, and I don't want any reflecting, and I said things, and I don't want that reflecting either, and Mayor blamed people that got reflected, and everybody's reflecting, and he went like this, and he was so nice about it. I'm yelling at the TV screen. I'm literally yelling at the TV screen, stop being so nice. And then he did this.
What I do not appreciate is receiving a Donald Trump-style rant message from Mayor Beauregard's chief of staff that was full of vitriol, characterizing my public statements, and excuse my French, as spreading bullshit. This is uncalled for, it's disrespectful, and it's unprofessional.
Sir, yeah, just no personal attacks, please.
Okay.
Shame on you.
In my opinion, everything I've stated in public has been factual, delivered in a respectful manner, and I've never cast aspersions on anyone in public service in the city of Methuen.
Wow. So first of all,
Mayor Beauregard, I am hopeful that her comments and lack of impulse control and her uncalled response to my statements does not represent the views or values of your administration, and I welcome a conversation with you regarding this matter, since she has blocked me from responding to her. I am sorry to bring this up, but I appreciate you all hearing me out. Thank you.
So first of all, good for him. This is the David Consoli that I like. The David Consoli that calls people out, that does it right. He's not angry. He's not bitter. He's just matter of fact telling you what happened. But a pox on Joe Ferretra. You know, when he first got elected, I really liked him. And then he became the biggest suck-up to Neil Perry anybody's ever seen. And then he became really angry. And then he started trying to take people's names off of things. Like, remember when he was trying to take Steve Zani's name off the field house, even though without Steve Zani, there'd be no field house? Remember that? Right? And now here's Dave Consoli up at public participation, speaking about a public employee who's handling a public issue while she's working in the public mayor's office and dealing with a business member of the public. And he has the nerve, Joe Ferretra has the nerve to say no personal attacks at the mic. Well, that's our policy. Well, if you have a policy to exterminate Jews, would that make it okay? I know it's a crazy exaggeration, but I have to drive home the point that these government types, for lack of a more vitriolic word, these government types think that if they make a policy, they can all just hide behind the policy. Well, we've got a policy here at the Methuen City Council. We've got a policy that you can attack anybody by name at the microphone. But Joe Ferretra had no problem attacking Joe Solomon night after night after night after night. I came in here and I played them over and over. He sat there as the council vice president when Steve Saber went after Joe Solomon by name. When Jim McCarty went after Joe Solomon by name. When DJ Beauregard went after Joe Solomon by name. And excuse my French, but now you've got the fucking nerve to stand there and say, well, we have a policy that you can't attack people by name. First of all, it's an unconstitutional policy. The Supreme Court, as we have talked about on many shows, I've done entire shows on this. The Supreme Court has been very clear. Public bodies cannot make restrictions on public speech, public participation, unless it is content neutral. So in other words, the city council can restrict how much time you have. They can decide whether or not you can speak at the beginning of the meeting or the end of the meeting. But they can't pass a policy that restricts the content of your speech. So if I want to go to a city council meeting in Methuen, and I want to get up and say, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, over and over for 3 minutes, legally, there's nothing they can do to stop me. Their little policy is nothing they can do to stop me. Nothing. Now, I'll tell you what would happen if Tom Duggan did that. They would demand that I be arrested. And if the chief was in the room, he probably wouldn't arrest me because he's a smart guy, and Chief McNamara knows the First Amendment. He and I have had many conversations about this when he was in Lawrence, because the Lawrence City Council used to pull this before they got their act together. And then I think they got sued by somebody and they lost millions of dollars. But if McNamara wasn't in the room and it was just a regular cop in the room, they would have arrested me for sure. I mean, they came to my house and they arrested me on a bogus allegation that somebody owned a church. So there's no question in my mind they would have arrested me. If I'd got up and said, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, over and over and over for 3 minutes, which I have a legal right to do. And then I would have sued Methuen for millions and millions and millions of dollars. And you know what I'd really do? I'd wait until Greg Gallant got his law license, and I'd have him represent me just to rub salt into the wound. But please spare us this. We have a policy, because you don't even follow your own policy. I was more mad that Joe Ferretra tried to stop Dave Consoli from publicly attacking anybody by name at the microphone at a public meeting than I was that Tina Conway is acting like the typical angry, hateful person that she always is. And mostly, I think probably, because I expect Tina Conway to act that way. I expect her to act like a complete jerk all the time because that's what she does. I have friends that work in City Hall that tell me that she huffs and puffs all day, every day, talking about what Donald Trump did today. As if Donald Trump has anything to do with the running of the city of Methuen. He's got nothing to do with the city of Methuen, none. But she walks around, can you believe what Donald Trump said today? Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. She's obsessed. She's got a mental illness. She's got a problem. How she lasted this long in the mayor's office is beyond me. Maybe it's because the mayor was just so sick that he couldn't have another turnover in his office because she was really running the show when he was sick. But honestly, I had planned on coming in and talking about Tina Conway because she's so hateful. She's so unreasonable that I could probably talk for 5 more minutes about some things that have gone on with her. However, when Joel Ferretra interrupted David Consoli, oh, no, we have a policy. It shot me through the roof. To me, that's 100 times worse than anything Tina Conway could do. Even though Joel said it respectfully, he was being nice. He wasn't being a jerk about it. I'm not saying he was. What I am saying, though, is that he's wrong because there's Supreme Court cases on this. And by the way, where was the city attorney? Where was Attorney Rossetti? I make comments under my breath about him all the time on this show about how friggin' useless he is and how he's not very bright. And then when this happened, I waited to see if the city attorney was going to say something. Oh, by the way, that policy's illegal. You got to let him do it. If he wants to mention every single city employee by name, he's allowed to do that under the Supreme Court rulings. And if I have to bring them in, attorney, at the next meeting, at the next podcast, I will bring them in and read to you. But the city attorney had nothing to say at all. And by the way, you know who else had nothing else to say at all? Where were the other counselors? Where's Ronnie Marsan? My friend, I like him, but where was he? Where's Jana Zani Pescherino? Pesh, however you say it. I still love her. She's still the most beautiful woman alive. However, where was she to challenge the chair? You know what happens in Lawrence a lot of times? And I know because I used to do it when I was on the school board in Lawrence. When the chairman of the board, whatever board they're talking about, school committee, city council, does something and they're wrong, do you know that city councilors can say, well, I challenge the chair on that? So when Joel said, no, we have a policy, I was waiting for the city attorney to say, yeah, your policy's illegal, you got to let him do it. And then he didn't do that because he's, not very bright, doesn't know municipal law. I don't know why they hired him. The place that he came from couldn't get rid of him fast enough. But then I looked around the table and I'm watching this meeting going, yeah, but Jana's going to say something. She's a lawyer. She knows the First Amendment. Oh, Ronnie Marsan, he'll definitely say something. Nick DiZoglio, he's a smart kid. He's like a really smart kid. We don't always agree on stuff. In fact, we very rarely agree on stuff, but he's a smart kid. Where were these people? You have 9 city councils. I think 1 was absent, so I think you had 8 in the room. Don't hold me to the number, but I'm pretty sure there were 8 of them in the room. You had 8 city councilors in the room, and you had the city attorney in the room. That's 9 people. 8 of which could have challenged what Joel Ferretra did. Not because Joel Ferretra is a bad person, not because Joel Ferretra was being mean, but because he was wrong. This is where I look for courage among elected officials. I look for courage among elected officials when it's hard, not when it's easy. When you're going to be the lone voice to stand up and say, yeah, I think it's kind of illegal, that policy about not attacking people by name. I think you got to let them speak. They did this once before to Dave Consoli, and he got really mad that I brought it up. So I hope he's not going to get mad at me today that I'm bringing it up. But I'm bringing it up because the First Amendment is the First Amendment is the First Amendment. How many times have you heard me say that? You have a right of free speech when you're at a public meeting. They cannot control the content of your speech. There is Massachusetts Supreme Court law on it. We talked about the Stoughton case, the Taunton case, the Boston City Council case. We talked about the Cambridge case. We talked about the Worcester case. I did an entire show on the girl in California. Remember the girl with the red hair, Chrissy? Right? The cops physically dragged her away because she was talking about how much money the city attorney was making, and she mentioned it by name. And they said, no, just like Joel Ferretra. No, you can't mention him by name. He's the city attorney. She wants to talk about how much he makes. And they had her physically escorted out by the cops. By the way, millions of dollars they're paying her. Millions. And just today, speaking of that case, if you go on Twitter, just today, they dropped on Twitter the body cam footage of that redheaded woman from California that got arrested for talking about the city attorney in California. It was Arizona. It was Sunnydale, California. Remember that? It was Sunrise, California, something like that. My producer's going to look it up because she remembers. We literally spent a whole show on it, like literally a whole show. I came in with the video and we talked about it from beginning to end. We talked about the Supreme Court cases, Arizona cases, what you're allowed to do with public participation, what you're not allowed to do with public participation. Surprise, Arizona. If you want to look it up. Just today on Twitter, I was on my way here, and it popped up in my Twitter feed. I'm in the car, and it popped up on my Twitter feed, and it said, breaking news, we've got the body cam footage of the cop dragging her out literally like by her shoulders and like arresting her for exhibiting her free speech rights. You know, we have a Constitution. And the people who are supposed to be the guardians of that Constitution are the people who represent us at the local level. You would think it's the Senate. You would think it's the House. You would think it's the President, the Attorney General. Really, you would think it's the Supreme Court. And that's like the last place to go when your rights have been violated. Really, where your rights get protected the most, where they should be protected the most, is at the local level. When you're speaking at a school board meeting, when you're speaking at a city council meeting, when you're a city councilor that wants to talk about something that was discussed in executive session, you have a right to do that. Your colleagues will tell you that you don't. As a former elected official, I can tell you, you have every right to do that, especially if they violate the rules of executive session, as Methuen has on numerous occasions. So I really wanted to talk about the hurricane today and the politics of the hurricane. We'll have to take that off the top thing. But this thing with Methuen, you know, kudos to Dave Consoli for keeping his composure, because I would have lost it. I would have forced them to. I would have said Tina Conway's name 37 more times at the microphone. I would have forced them to arrest me, and then I would have sued the living crap out of the city and made millions. Because you know who's going to be defending the city? Rossetti. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy representing the city. That's a multi-million-dollar win before you walk into court. Guy knows nothing about municipal law. Nothing substantial anyway. Nothing helpful. He couldn't even answer last night when Ron Marsan, or Tuesday night or Monday night, when Ron Marsan asked him, "Well, we're scheduling a special election. Aren't we running afoul of our own charter?" "Oh, I don't know. Look at the bird. Look, shiny object. I have no idea. It's Ripley's. You could believe it." Guy had no clue what he was doing. None. And he's probably a nice guy. Just like Joel is a nice guy. I'm not attacking them personally. I'm not saying they're bad people. They're just wrong. Well, in Rossetti's case, he's a little incompetent. But they're just wrong. And the people of Methuen, this is what you get when you don't pay attention at election time. Start asking these questions when people are running for office. Start asking them when they're running for mayor, when they're running for city council for next year. Will you protect our First Amendment rights at the local level? One of my biggest problems with Neil Perry, when COVID was happening, he was chasing kids in baseball fields that were playing catch with a baseball that were like 100 feet apart. And he was literally chasing them out of the fields when he should have been protecting the First Amendment. Many, if not most, of our local officials were trampling on the First Amendment. They were trampling on your constitutional rights. They were forcing you to stay home. They were forcing you. There was a guy, not to digress, but there was a guy out in California that got arrested for surfing alone on a surfboard in the ocean during COVID. Because local officials, who are supposed to be the guardians of the Constitution, given the chance, will trample it every single freaking time. So we will come in and we will talk. I'm going to try and do a debate, maybe, of the mayoral candidates. I'd love to have the mayoral candidates here individually. Maybe we can do that and then have a debate. But the people of Methuen really need to know who these people are that are looking to be their mayor for the next 9 years, 2, 4, 6, 7 years, the next 7 years. Because whoever wins is going to get, and I know we're up, whoever wins is going to get 1 year And then from my reading of the charter, they get 3 2-year terms after that. Because the limit is 3 2-year terms. So whoever runs for this first year, that year becomes a wash. From my reading of the Methuen charter, that doesn't count. They're going to end up getting 7 years. 2, 4, 6, 7 years. That's my lot of time math. I got to count on my fingers. All right, let's. I did want to talk a little bit about the hurricane. Follow my Facebook page. I've been really crazy on the hurricane. I'm really convinced that if Donald Trump came out and said cancer is bad, the Democrats would hold a press conference with 5 doctors saying cancer is great. Because no matter what he says, they got to go the other way. And apparently he made a comment a day or two ago, I didn't see it, about how the government can control the weather. And, of course, CNN, MSNBC, Biden, Harris, all of them went absolutely crazy, apoplectic, went on every single show they could. This is a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. And the more they apoplectically, if that's a word, called it a lie, the more I was convinced it was probably true. Because they never attack a politician when they're lying. They always attack a politician when they tell an occasional truth. Because they only want you to believe their propaganda. So, there is all kinds of evidence and proof that the government is and has been controlling the weather for decades. It's all posted on my Facebook page. I wanted to talk a little bit about it today, but we're completely out of time. Let's thank, is there anything else? I want to thank my producer, Chrissy, who's awesome. Let's go and pull up our... This is kind of just like a practice show, right? By the time we get it going, by the time we get it done... We had 1 topic, 2 topics, that's it. A little off my game myself. I want to thank Enterprise Bank, W3ON, Web Designers, Stadium Chiropractic, 4-Star Lighting, A&J Goodwin Plumbing, Bonfire Wellness Center. I will be there, I promise, in the next couple of days. Chris's Barbershop on Main Street in Salem, New Hampshire. It's right upstairs on the 2nd floor of... Sevmar. So go in for Sevmar, have yourself some hummus and some grape leaves, and go upstairs and get your hair cut. 11 Restaurant on Essex Street, Prime Insurance at Doug Mercurio Law Office, Patrick's Eatery and Harrison's, Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, AFC Urgent Care, Clear Path for Veterans New England, Tobo and Shaken Seafood, EIS Investigation and Gun Training, Martian and Son Construction, Century 21, McLennan Real Estate, and the Zany Pesh Law Office. Sounds like Melvin Taylor says we got to go home. So go home already. Wow.
The
right
views and opinions of hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.